Good morning, everyone. We will now begin the morning service of the Miroku Association headquarters, asking God in Meishu-sama to protect and bless us as we participate today in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku Prayer, please stand. Taka ni kamsumarimasu kamurogi kamuromi no mikoto mochite sumemi oya kamurizana gino mikoto tsukushi no himuka no tachihana no odo no ahagi hara ni misogi hara itamo Toki ni narimaseru haraido no okami tachi moro moro no magagoto tsumikegare o harai tamai kiyome tamae toma osukoto no yoshi o amatsu kami Tsukamiya oyorozu no kami tachi tomo ni abe no fuchi koma no mimi furitatete kikoshi meseto kashikomi mo mausu Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Oshie mi oyanushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Oshie mi oyanushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Kom nagara tamachi haemasu. Kom nagara tamachi haemasu. Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come. May paradise on earth be realized with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. We will now receive group Johrei.
May God, Meishu-sama, bless you.
We will now listen to a reading from Meishu-sama's teachings. Eternal life. By repeating the process of birth and death, the human soul learns and grows until it attains eternal happiness. Those who preach the way but have little understanding of life after death themselves speak meaningless, empty words. Foolish are those who proclaim there is no God, for they do not realize how they themselves came into existence. In leaving this world and passing through the gate of death, a human being sheds its clothing of flesh. The flesh belongs to this world, and the spirit to the spiritual world. As a result of aging or illness, the physical body degenerates to the point where it is no longer serviceable, whereupon the spirit abandons the useless physical burden and goes to the spiritual world. There, it must prepare for rebirth into this world. This preparation is purification.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the morning service of the Miroku Association headquarters. This morning, I would like to share the faith experience of Rosana Duma. She's from the Viana Johrei Center, Luanda, Angola. Rosana lives in the neighborhood of Viana. She's a Johrei member and gives service as assistant missionary. She was introduced to our church in 2012 through her sister, who is also a Johrei member. The reasons behind her joining our faith were illnesses, family conflicts, and financial difficulties. For the disease, she suffered from chest pains, shortness of breath, stinging in her body. Her skin began to peel and get darker. In an attempt to solve her problems, she resorted to several hospitals, prophetic churches, and folk healing houses, where they claimed that as she carried the spirit of a mermaid, she needed to feed that spirit. In these prophetic churches, she was given salt and some solutions to take a shower with, and also put them in the corner of her home. Despite these treatments, she didn't get positive results. Regarding family conflicts, it all started when she began to face several financial difficulties, not having anything to feed her children. In fact, to alleviate the situation of starvation, she would put salt water in a frying pan to give to them. To withstand so much suffering, she decided to live in her brother's house. After a week, she was insulted by her sister several times, and hearing these words, she began to suffer even more because of a hurt she carried in her heart for a long time. Due to that, they didn't speak to each other. The situation left Rosanna depressed, coming to think that God does not. Because she felt humiliated, she turned to become aggressive. Consequently, she decided to go back to looking for churches because she felt she needed prayers, no matter what denomination she would be involved with. Thus, she went into some churches putting their guidelines into practice. However, as she didn't see any improvements, she ended up giving up on her search. That's when she remembers some discussions with her sister, when the name of our Johrei movement was mentioned as a solution to her problems. Worried as she was, the next day she decided for the center, and when she found it, she asked only for prayers but did not want to talk about her life. Minutes later, the minister in charge appeared, took her to the altar, and then suggested that Rosanna open her heart completely to the minister. Not knowing how to start, Rosanna went on with it, explaining all her worries. This was something that did not happen in other churches due to her own prejudice. As before, she would only confess private things to God. That day, she managed to expose everything that afflicted her. Then she was guided about our basic practices of faith, even without understanding them thoroughly. She followed the guidance received, and in less than a month of dedication, changes began to emerge. Health issues then no longer became a concern. The difficulties she had to sell a piece of land were also overcome, something that before she could not always face obstacles. Even with people interested in buying, when making the payment, there was some setbacks. After complying with our guidelines, she finally managed to sell her land and, as a result, improved her financial condition. Currently, she lives in a rental house together with her children, who managed to return to formal school education. Rosanna got an invitation to work in a company, but she couldn't accept it because of her own trading business. So she offered this opportunity to one of her brothers, who, even though he graduated in metallic structures, had not been able to find a job for more than 3 years. After putting to practice of making flower arrangements, she placed them in every room where her brother lives. And to her surprise, in less than 2 weeks, he got a job in his area of training, something he had been looking forward to for many years. Happy with these amazing blessings, a lady she is assisting, while attending to her own church, Rosanna told her about Meishu-sama and her miracles. But the lady showed resistance to our teachings. After having flowers of light in the channeling of Johrei in her home, she, who did not have a healthy relationship with her brothers, since they mistreated her after this dedication in her house, this lady, her brothers called to find out how her health status was. In addition, I was available to visit her house. We were happy and relaxed. They had lunch together, something that hadn't happened for many years. In gratitude, she's also attending our church. On another case, Rosanna offered flowers to a lady who was experiencing marital conflicts. However, whenever her husband came home, he threw the flowers into the trash, claiming they were from the cemetery. Quite concerned, Rosanna went to her house in order to talk to her husband about the importance of flowers and asked him to receive Johrei. He showed resistance, but after so much persisting in religious assistance to his wife, he, who proved to be stubborn, began to accept the flowers and receive Johrei without any demands. In this way, their home has become harmonious, and they are attending our church. Rosanna concluded that we must always repress anger and turn all our problems over to God and Meishu-sama. Rosanna is very grateful to the Supreme God, the Messiah Meishu-sama, and her ancestors for the permission to be introduced to this path of salvation. And I'd like to share another experience, a short one. This is from Ryan Correia Maynard. He's from Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Ryan is 14 years old and received the child locked Choco when he was 7 years old. His mother's pregnancy was very difficult. Ryan was born in the 6th month of pregnancy, weighing 900 grams, and he was in the ICU for 45 days. Doctors did not believe that he would survive, as he did not suck his mother's milk and would need to gain weight to be discharged. However, his grandparents trusted God and Meishu-sama a lot. They gave him Johrei all day until he gained weight and was discharged from the hospital. His childhood was marked by many purifications. However, his family members had an unshakable faith and dedicated sincerely, which brought a lot of strength to everyone. His childhood was marked by many purifications, as I said, but in 2014, at the age of 7, he started to manifest also repetitive behaviors without explanations, such as he couldn't stay in the classroom because of the noise, he had a lot of migraines, and was very picky regarding foods and clothing. After several exams and consultations, He was diagnosed with autistic spectrum disorder, a condition that affects language, social interaction, and communication. Given this situation, he began treatments with doctors and psychologists. Always united, his family committed themselves to the challenge of Johrei in our practice of faith. At age 12, Ryan received the sacred focal point of Hikari. Since then, he challenged Johrei to his family almost every day. With this, communication, social behavior, and other symptoms of autism began to gradually improve. In 2019, he was chosen as a class leader because of his sense of responsibility and seriousness in his studies. Currently, he communicates well and presents an excellent academic performance. He strives to receive and channel Johrei daily, and with that, he developed several intellectual skills. A few days ago, his computer fixed it. He studied some programs on the internet. Then he formatted, reinstalled the operating system, and his computer returned to working normally. This year, he took the federal government's math and Portuguese tests and obtained a 96% approval rating. It was a great joy for him. His family is very proud of his results. Ryan is a living example of the intervention of God, Meishu-sama, Johrei, in our practice of faith. He learned how essential the practice. Every young person must have a religion so that he or she can be useful to others and transform their future. Ryan's commitment is to continue channeling and receiving Johrei, reading Meishu-sama's teachings, and dedicating with sincerity so that he can build a life of happiness. Ryan is very grateful to God, ancestors, for the permission to experience this miracle, and to his family for their unconditional love and care. Thank you very much for listening to this experience. I'm looking forward for your presence in this evening, if you have a chance, and also on other daily morning and evening services. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
This brings to a conclusion of our morning service. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a blessed day.